Some Christians use Peter's vision in Acts chapter 10 as an excuse to eat unclean meat. But the truth is, the vision has absolutely nothing to do with food. Let's get into it. Okay, the book of Acts chapter 10 verses 9 through 15 tells us about Peter's vision. Let's take a look. On the morrow, as they went on their journey and drew nigh unto the city, Peter went up upon the housetop to pray about the 6th hour. And he became very hungry, and would have eaten. But while they made ready, he fell into a trance, and saw heaven opened, and a certain vessel descending upon him, as it had been a great sheet knit at the four corners and let down to the earth, wherein were all manner of four-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the air. And there came a voice to him, Rise, Peter, kill and eat. But Peter said, Not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean. And the voice spake unto him again the second time, What God hath cleansed, that call not thou common. Now this is after the death of Christ. If you read carefully, Peter himself says he has never touched anything unclean. So if this vision was actually about food, what would stop Peter from eating anything unclean if it was supposedly done away with at the cross? Right? I guess apparently Peter didn't get the memo that the health laws have been done away with at the cross because, it was only for the Jews, right? Wrong. The book of Genesis says clearly in chapter 7 and verse 2, Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens, the male and his female, and of beasts that are not clean by two, the male and his female. Notice how God told Noah way before there was ever a Jew on earth about clean and unclean animals. It wasn't a Jewish law, brothers and sisters, and Peter knew that. Now let's get back to Acts chapter 10. While Peter had this vision, around this time a man by the name of Cornelius, who was a Gentile, had a vision as well. Let's look at it. Acts chapter 10 verses 1 through 8 says, There was a certain man in Caesarea called Cornelius, a centurion of the band called the Italian band, a devout man, and one that feared God with all his house, which gave much alms to the people, and prayed to God always. He saw in a vision evidently about the 9th hour of the day an angel of God coming into him, and saying unto him, Cornelius. And when he looked on him, he was afraid and said, What is it, Lord? And he said unto him, Thy prayers and thine alms are come up for a memorial before God. And now send men to Joppa, and call for one Simon, whose surname is Peter. He lodgeth with one Simon a tanner, whose house is by the seaside. He shall tell thee what thou oughtest to do. And when the angel which spake unto Cornelius was departed, he called 2 of his household servants, and a devout soldier of them that waited on him continually. And when he had declared all these things unto them, he sent them to Joppa. Cornelius was told to send men to Joppa to look for Peter. After the men met up with Peter and lodged together, the next day Peter went with the men back to meet Cornelius. And now here explains the vision that Peter had. Are you ready for it? Acts chapter 10 verses 24 through 28 says, And the morrow after they entered into Caesarea, and Cornelius waited for them, and he had called together his kinsmen and near friends. And as Peter was coming in, Cornelius met him and fell down at his feet and worshipped him. But Peter took him up, saying, Stand up, I myself also am a man. And as he talked with him, he went in and found many that were come together. And he said unto them, Ye know how that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation. But God hath showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean. Friends, the Bible interprets itself. And if we read it diligently, we will find what we are looking for. But Peter here says, he should not call any man common or unclean. The vision was never about animals, but about men. This time was a historic time. This was right after the stoning of Stephen, and then Paul's transformation in Acts chapter 9. During this time is when the gospel was taken from the Jews and also given to the Gentiles. And now Gentiles can also receive this gospel message and become a spiritual Jew and be part of God's people. But we will save that for another video. This is John Tinsley with Everlasting Rock Ministries, and always remember, the truth never fails. God bless you all.